Hi children, let's continue the next story. Tukten finds a friend. Somewhere on the arid mountain heights of Lahore, Spiti stood a small village. It was no more than a huddle of 8 or 10 huts tucked away in the fold of a hill. One of these huts stood apart from the rest, and in this hut lived a boy named Tukten. Tukten had lost his parents long ago. He did not even have a brother or sister. But he was never lonely, for he was blessed with a very cheerful disposition and a rich singing voice. People loved to hear him sing because it made them happy. But there was one person who simply did not like the sound of Turken's voice, and that person was Rompa, the oldest man in the village. Quarrelsome and greedy by nature, Rompa was quite of the opposite of Tukten. Like the others in the village, Tukten was a shepherd and earned a living by rearing sheep. He always led his flock to graze in a pasture near his village. One day, he decided to look for a new pasture with more grass. He took his staff and enough sattu, gross gram flour, for his midday meal. Then he led his sheep out of the pen and guided them in a new direction, singing as he walked behind the flock. Some time later, Tukkan came upon a deep valley which he had never seen before. Scattered down the valley were the remnants of a broken stone wall. They seemed to be a part of an old palace that had once stood there. The rest of the valley was one long stretch of lush green grass. Tuktan was thrilled at the sight. This is the place for me, he thought with great joy. Here my sheep can eat their fill right through summer. Leaving his sheep to crop the grass, he roamed around for a long time. By and by, the sun climbed to the zenith in the blue mountain sky, and it was time for the midday meal. Tuktan was looking for a comfortable place to sit and eat when something caught his eye. Some distance away, on an outcrop of rock, stood a lion. It had been carved out of the rock, but at a glance it looked absolutely real. Its mouth was closed, but the eyes were wide open. From the blackened, weathered look of the stone, it seemed as if the lion had stood guard over the valley for hundreds of years. Tukten was delighted to see the lion. He was a friendly boy who loved to talk to people. He went and sat near the lion. Brother Lion, he said, I have come to chat with you. We are alone in this world, you and I. Why don't we become friends? Of course, the lion said nothing, but Tukten was not discouraged. He went on, You don't know me, so first I must tell you all about myself. And out came the story of his life, where he lived, how he had lost his parents, and how he reared sheep to support himself. When the story was over, Tukten put an arm around the lion and said, Come on, let's eat. We'll share whatever there is. Tukten opened his puddle of sattu and placed a little before the lion. Then he ate his own share and ran down the hill to mind his sheep. Well before sundown, he took leave of the lion, herded his sheep together, and left for his village. Tukten couldn't be happier. He had found fresh pasture and a new friend. What joy it was to enjoy the meal with his friend. So, what if it was birds and not the lion that finally ate up the sattu? The summer months went by in this manner, and then the weather began to change. The sun no longer felt so warm, and the nights were much colder. Winter was on its way, and winter in Lahore Spiti was very harsh. Like other years, everyone in the village was getting ready to go down to the lower hills of Kulu Valley. They went in a group, their sheep in one large flock, for there was safety in numbers. Tukten had become so attached to his new found friend, the stone lion, that he did not wish to part from him. But he also knew the dangers of being left alone in the village during the long, bleak winter months. Finally, he made up his mind to go. The following day, Tukten's heart was full as he went to see the stone lion. Brother Lion, he said, in just a few days' time, I must leave you and go down to Kulu Valley. I'll miss you terribly. To Tukten's amazement, the lion opened its mouth and replied, "Brother Tukten, I'll miss you too. It's been a joy to have you as my friend, and I wish to make you a little gift." "Gift? But I don't need a gift at all," cried Tukten. "I have everything I could possibly wish for." The lion stopped him. "Listen to me," said he. "Come here at the crack of dawn tomorrow morning. Bring a bag with you. You'll find my mouth wide open. Thrust your hand in and fill your bag with whatever you find inside my mouth. But mind, all this must be done before sunrise. As soon as the sun clears the rim of those hills, my mouth will close." Tukten tried to reason with the lion. "Oh, brother lion, why a gift for me? I'm telling you I don't need a thing." But the lion's mouth had already snapped shut. The following morning, Tukten would have slept on, but a rook flew over his hut and called aloud. Tukten was shaken out of sleep. He threw off his quilt and ran to the window. The eastern sky had just begun to turn a pale grey. His friend would be waiting. Tukten ran all the way and arrived at the valley completely out of breath. Sure enough, the stone lion was waiting. "Where's the bag?" he asked urgently. "Oh," cried Tukten, "I forgot all about the bag. But never mind, my cap will just do fine." Taking off his cap, and without a moment's hesitation, Tukten thrust his hand into the lion's mouth. When he withdrew his hand, it was full of gold nuggets. As Tukten filled his cap with nuggets, the sun cleared the rim of the tallest hill, and the lion's mouth shut tight. Tukten thanked the lion. Covering the cap with one hand, he set out for home, a very happy boy. Close to his village, Tukten ran into Rompa, who was taking his sheep out to graze. Rompa had a sharp eye for other people's business. He squarely blocked Tukten's path. "Where have you been so early in the morning?" he demanded. "And what is that you're hiding?" He pushed Tukten's hand away roughly. The gold nuggets dazzled him, but only for a moment. He grabbed hold of Tukten. "So you waylaid a traveller and robbed him, eh?" said Rompa in a tone full of menace. "Tell me the truth, or I'll report you to the headman." Tukten was a simple, innocent boy. At the very mention of the headman, he got scared, and out came the whole story. He even showed Rompa the way to the valley of the stone lion. What more could Rompa wish for? The very day that Tukten left for Kulu, Rompa began his visits to the valley. He went every single day, and he always carried an offering for the lion. Some milk or yak, butter, or else a jar of golden honey gathered at a greater risk to himself from the hives of vicious bees. He placed these offerings before the lion and bowed and stood on one side, the picture of humility. "O noble king, the land of Lahore Spiti," he would say, "please take pity on your devoted servant and accept the humble offering that I have placed at your feet." Sometimes Rompa took a fan made of yak's tail and stood behind the lion, patiently fanning away crickets and grasshoppers. He tried all the time to please the lion with flattery, but the lion simply would not open its mouth. Meanwhile, the weather was turning colder, and most of the villagers had left with their flocks. Rompa's family begged of him to accompany them to Kulu, but he refused. Finally, they left without him. Now Rompa was alone. As grey clouds piled up in the sky, he began to get desperate. The lion had not opened his mouth. Did he really give nuggets of gold? Or had Tukten cooked up the story? Finally, Rompa's patience was rewarded. One day he placed before the lion a bowl of porridge laced with butter, closed his eyes and prayed, "O king of this noble land, I beg you, be so kind as to speak to me." To his utter amazement, he heard a deep voice, "Open your eyes, Rompa, and listen to me." Rompa opened his eyes and stared. The lion was talking. "I thank you for looking after me all these days, and I wish to give you a gift. Come here tomorrow morning at the crack of dawn. Bring a bag with you. You will find my mouth open. Thrust your hand in and fill your bag with whatever you find inside my mouth. But remember, this must be done well before sunrise. As soon as the sun peeps over these hills, my mouth will close." Rompa all but danced for joy. Back home, he rummaged around and found a big, sturdy bag used for storing grain. He cleaned and dusted it and went to bed with the bag beside him, but he was too excited to sleep. At around midnight, a wolf howled on the mountainside and Rompa shot up in bed. He thought, the stone lion told me to be there well before sunrise, but he didn't tell me not to come at night. The earlier I go, the more gold I can gather. At around 3 in the morning, Rompa set out for the valley, carefully wrapped up against the bitter cold. In one hand he carried a staff, in the other a lantern. The bag hung from one shoulder. For some time Rompa walked in the right direction, and then suddenly he stumbled against a rock and rolled down the hill. He was not hurt, but the lantern was smashed to bits. Meanwhile a mass of clouds had rolled up, blotting out the stars. It was pitch dark. Rompa walked endlessly, but without any light to guide him. He could not find his way again. When the day dawned, he had wandered far, far away from the valley of the stone lion. Rompa was well and truly lost. He never did find his way again. To this day, nobody can tell what happened to Rompa. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye.